Hello everybody, this is Hammer Striker here. Today I have the Cyelee Wolf SRS6 Pro. This is part of their Stig RS series, and I've got it sitting on the Smith & Wesson M2.0 metal frame. The Stig RS series by Cyelee is designed to help people who have astigmatism, who have a hard time using normal red dots, be able to actually use a red dot. All of these are also available in the non-Stig RS version. A lot of people that have astigmatism, and it's fairly common, will have difficulty using a classic red dot. They have a little just trouble getting it to work and being able to keep the dot centered, things like that, so they probably have potentially given up on red dots. Well, the Stig RS series may help you with that. Comes with a cover. I had that on camera a little bit earlier. It fits actually quite nicely and it fits snugly. All of these red dots that I've gotten from Cyelee, and they did send us this for a review. When it's on there good. They did send this for a review. They've all worked. They're all easy to install. They all have been reliable. They've all zeroed up pretty easily. Some of them have actually been zeroed for the gun I was putting them on right out from the get-go. Others I've had to adjust them a little bit because of the height of the slide and all that type of stuff. But once I've gotten these things adjusted, they've held zero, and that's an important part. And these optics have a lot of the features that you're expecting in much higher priced optics, honestly. The MSRP on these is $234.99. They have optics, of course, that are less expensive, and versions without the Stig RS feature are probably a little less expensive as well. But these are really good optics. I've had good luck with them. And we do have a discount code on our affiliates page for getting a discount if you buy one of these. And by the way, hang out to the end of the video for some nice information and a potential surprise depending on how you landed on this video. But I do want to do a review on this because I do like their optics and they do work very, very well. So the first thing I'm going to do is make sure that we do have an unloaded Smith & Wesson, so it's not going to do anything unpleasant. The review is not about the Smith & Wesson, it's just a host platform to put it on. But it did mount up quite nicely. It mounted up very easily, it fits nice. It is a nice looking optic. Of course, cameras hate red dots, so the dot, I'll have to put an inset to show you the dot. There's the front of it, the other side of it. This is kind of important right here, this little tray. The battery mounts from the side, which means when the battery inevitably goes down after 50,000 or more hours, you can replace the battery without having to dismount the optic and lose your zero. You can change the battery without losing zero. Of course, you have the adjustment controls in both places. And one of the nice things about these, I'm going to put it down for a second, is it comes with a whole bunch of screws. They're all in labeled packets. They're all different sizes and lengths, metric and SAE. Pretty much, I have not had to get third-party screws to mount one of these optics on any gun that I've mounted one on. The screws have been in the box. This particular one is for the RMR 407C, 507C, and it's 1 MOA adjustment for click. So per click is 1 MOA. And as I mentioned earlier, I've had an easy time with getting these things zeroed fairly quickly. Here's the buttons to control it. There is an optional lockout mode where you can disable these controls, and it requires a special key sequence to get them to activate again. Why would you do that if you have problems with optics in your holster or things like that getting bumped, especially if you choose not to use the cover, which you may not in a concealed carry defense scenario, because you're not going to have time to whip this cover off if you have to use the thing. You can lock out the controls so that the settings stay where they are. For the most part, what I've found with these, other than that potential thing that you may have to deal with, is once you get them set the way you want, because they have shake awake, after 5 minutes it goes to sleep. You pick it up, it wakes up. So you really don't have to mess with the controls if you get it set to a position you want. It's got 9 brightness levels that are meant for daytime use, and it's got 2 brightness levels that are meant for nighttime use. So it's very flexible, very compatible. I had an easy time shooting this well. One thing I will mention is the Stig RS function is meant to compensate for astigmatism, as I mentioned earlier. It does create kind of a little bit of an odd feeling when you're looking through it for the very first time. So when I first brought the gun up, first aimed it downrange, it took me a second to adapt to it. I have no problem with conventional red dots, so that particular feature isn't necessarily changing anything for me, but it took me a hair to get used to it. Once I did, I was solid. So what I might say is, if you are able to use a conventional red dot with no problem whatsoever, look at there's a Wolf Pro series that doesn't have the Stig RS. But if you're somebody that has found yourself almost wanting to give up on red dots, you've tried them on a bunch of different friends' guns and they just don't work for you, this would probably be worth a try, especially if astigmatism is one of the visual issues that you have. This may be the thing that unlocks your ability to actually use a red dot. The window is nice and large, despite the optic being relatively compact, so it's easy to use, but the window is 0.94 by 0.67 inches, so it's a decent sized window. It's not one of those huge ones, but it's also not microscopic. Because depending upon the gun, whether or not you're going to be able to co-witness will vary depending on how it fits on the slide and the sights that are on the gun, but these are quite reliable. And as I mentioned earlier, let me put an inset in showing the red dot and showing you what it looks like without the distortion that cameras provide. And it is a 6 MOA dot, which of course if you turn the brightness way up, it'll get bigger. If you turn the brightness down a little bit, of course it'll go back down to the 6 MOA. And one of the things with astigmatism is the dots sometimes will tend to break up and get weird. The larger dot will make that a little bit easier. Once I got past that initial adaptation to the difference from all the conventional red dots, even without needing that feature, I was still able to shoot it well. So this is something that if you, for example, had somebody in your family that was using it that had that issue and you didn't, you would still be able to use this red dot for them to help them, and then you, after a very short adaptation period, you'd be able to use it as well. So I do think it is a viable optic for pretty much anybody. So the surprise I was talking about is they did send us one for a review. That's what I put it on this gun to test it and do the review. But they also sent us one for one of our viewers. So this is a giveaway. It'll come in a box just like this, but this is a sealed one. I haven't opened it, I haven't touched it, I haven't used it. This is just the way it comes from the factory. So we're going to do a giveaway. So I'm going to put the rules up on the screen. I'm going to let you read the rules, and I'm going to kind of talk over it with some kind of important things. First off, how do you enter? Well, you enter by putting a comment on our YouTube video. You will see this video on other platforms, but logistically we can only really do this with the YouTube presence. So even if you see it on Rumble or one of the other platforms, please hop over to YouTube, put a comment if you want to enter. But I want to kind of put out a scam warning. These platforms are infested with scammers. They're going to see this video and they're going to just consider it a target-rich environment. So a few things. Number one, don't put any personal information in the comment of any kind. Just put a comment on the video. You can say, I want to enter the contest. You can say, that's a cool red dot, whatever. Just put a comment. Don't put your name, your personal name, your address, none of that. The other thing is, this is totally free to you. There's no thing you have to do other than the comments so we can actually pick you from the list. We're not going to ask for any money. We're going to cover the shipping. So if you see a comment that pretends to be from the channel that's telling you got to click this link to validate, or you've got to give your payment information to cover shipping or tariffs, that's all totally a scam. The only way we're going to communicate with the winner is we're going to put a video, we're going to pick, using a random comment picker, we're going to pick the winner, and we're going to announce it in a video. And then we're going to ask you to use our email address that's found in, about, and I'll put some screenshots in the video where we pick the winner, how to get to that. Send us an email. And we're never going to ask you to use any other platform like WhatsApp or any of those things, or ask you to click any links or anything like that. Any comment you see like that, I'm going to try to get rid of them as quickly as I can, but any comment you see like that is a scam. They're trying to get your money, and it's not us. So the last piece that's out there is, how do I enter? How am I going to get my prize, etc., all that kind of fun stuff. So you're going to enter by putting a comment on the video, any comment, of course not including any personal information. We're going to give roughly a week, so 11:59 p.m. the Thursday after this video is published, so we'll publish this video at 0500 tomorrow morning. Eastern Standard Time is when we'll cut off the entries. We'll pull all the comments. We'll do a random picker. We'll pick a comment. We'll do a shorter video, a short length video to announce the winner. That winner will have a week from when that video is published to contact us, and the instructions will be in that video. They will not be in a comment on the channel. They'll be in the video to contact us, and we'll ship it off to you. And again, we're not going to ask you for a penny. So if anything looks like it's us, pretends to be us, masquerades as us, and asks you for any kind of money or payment information, it's a scam, because this is going to cost you nothing. Beyond that, thank you, Cyelee, for sending this for us to do a review. Thank you, Cyelee, for sending us one to send to one of our viewers. And beyond that, if you like our videos, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe, check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Player, Rumble. Our rules are going to be on the website as well as on the screen. Read them. Those rules are important. You got to follow the rules just like anything else in life. And have a great day. Thank you.